Hello, everybody. Namaste again. This, how do you say, break time? Maybe you're working from home, but still, I think it's very different than you're working from your office. Is a perfect time to have a tea. So, cheers, everybody. So, one of the things is that how do we maintain our sanity during this long break we have? How do we make sure that our day becomes productive? How do we keep everything not only together and creative, and how do we keep ourselves in balance? Yes, you can do meditation, you can do yoga, which everybody is more or less is doing. There are loads of classes, there are loads of information is coming online. This is the beauty of technology, that even though you are alone, but there is no need to feel lonely, because there's enough out there as an information, there's enough out there as things to do. I am going to share with you a couple of things. It was amazing because since I'm at home, I've been going through my library. I have a very extensive library from all kinds of books, not only yoga books. And I was thinking of sharing with you some of those books, and what is those books? What are those books are about? Um, what messages they have? How can we see those books and either have an emotional psychological impact of it, or have new learnings from it? So that is the idea of today, uh, doing this Facebook and YouTube live. um, I'm available in both channels. I'm working from my creative space, and in a while I'm going to show you the mess I've been doing and wanted to share. So one of the things is, maybe you do have a library where there's a lot of books which you've been planning to read and uh, wanted to increase your knowledge, or tickle your intellect, or go on an emotional ride. Depends on what kind of books you're reading. It can be fiction, non-fiction books. Few of the favorite books I would like to talk to you about. And one of the book which I'm very impressed and very excited about it. I've read it a long time ago, but this is one of those books, Walk to Freedom, A Long Walk to Freedom of by Nelson Mandela. Uh, Such a valuable book, gives quite a bit of an insight of what is inside the mind of somebody who found his dharma. Dharma here is nothing to do with the religion, which sometimes in Hindi can be also translated that way. Dharma is more, we are talking about, is when you found your inner calling. What is that your purpose of life? And I think Nelson Mandela was one of them. And uh, at least my personal opinion is, um, he remained in solitary confinement for such a long time, almost 2 decades, and still maintained his focus, and his maintained his sanity. In fact, I think he got more and more clearer in his vision, and I think his wisdom is known around the globe, and is somebody who inspires me a lot. And specifically, if you are into yoga, though I'm not sure he ever done yoga, but he's very big propagator of Mahatma Gandhi and Ahimsa. Um, when you read the book, you would see that he's talking about how he was trained um, as a bomb maker, but at the end he took a completely another path. I think he found the inner strength and power to know that is much stronger than any destructive methods he'd been trying to train or used for. And he decided to use that. As absolutely inspiring book. Is a pretty big book, so I'm sure your um, keep you very busy if you start reading it. Very inspiring. I would highly recommend to all the yogis to read this book, and I'm sure it's also available in all kinds of formats. One of the very good thing is that because I travel quite a bit. I'm often on the road, so I don't like to carry heavy stuff. So look at this book; it's pretty decently heavy, and then on the top my computer and everything else. So I avoid any heavy things to take it with me. But I have quite a bit of an audio program. Specifically, there are programmed by very like Amazon has a program where you can have it in written, so you can read it as a Kindle in your machine. At the same time, you can also um, wherever you left over, you can switch it to the audio, so it works audio and reading both. So depends, if you love the books, then you can use the books that way. But if you're traveling like me, then maybe you can just use the audio, and that will help you a lot to while you're sitting in the train waiting for the next connection. I think it's a perfect moment in time when you can use the audiobook. So a long walk to freedom is one of the book I would recommend you very, very strongly. um, then I also found lately um, Yuval Noah Hariri. um, it's a very interesting book. This is about the story Homo Deus, which is basically a story of us, how we happen to be from Stone Age to we came into this where we are today. And I find this is a little bit too much for me, driven from the written history already, and a lot of supporting areas which taken from other scriptures and stuff, talks not only about how do we started from to became Homo erectus to where we are today, the history of world, history of how we invented different things, how the mentality over the time changed, how people really started inventing from agriculture to technology. And all these technologies are have a very interesting background, which I think a very, very interesting book. If you want an intellectual trigger, Homogeneous is a book to be read. Um, I am little bit how do you say, it's very good material for me to really, because I question the way the Western um, scholars have been writing all about the history of the earth. They are very Europe focused, where are very strongly connected with what they have been hearing from. That's where I say, if you take out only things from other written books and really don't go to the things which are not written. So like in a history of India is not everything written on the book. And we are not really very big on history as such in India. Actually, we are more of, not so much who did it or how they did it. It's more about what is the message they carry. That is very, very important, um, which I think a little bit lacking in this book, but I find it's extremely intriguing to read this. Then non no, to completely fiction books, they don't really just stay with yoga. I think you can also expand other places. One of my favorite book is Harry Potter. We have all of them. I think kids and adults, everybody enjoyed these reading this book equally. Um, they had really a lot of fun. Takes you in the world of fantasy. These are kind of books which basically allows your imagination to go wild. You basically allow yourself to go way beyond than the normal routine. And this is where your five senses are very, very important. More you expose them, the more your horizons will also expand. The reason for this, from yoga point of view, looking at is that you desire what you already know. But if you never even knew something exists outside which you never been exposed to, you would never desire. When I was 15, 16, I never desired pizza. I had no idea what pizza is all about. This is only when I think maybe around 18, 19, when I moved to Delhi. This is the first time when somebody gave me an idea what this pizza is about. Naturally, not the real thing from Italy, but one of those Dominoes and the other. But the moment I got to know that, I got to know, wow, means there is this whole new world of taste out there, which I absolutely not aware of. Same thing, maybe you're not aware of all the things I grew up eating from Rajasthan and the corners of that part, or Punjabi food for that matter. So these kinds of books are basically to expand your horizons. Do read fiction and non-fiction, um, not only philosophy and yoga and mathematics and physics, which are very very important, but to keep your mind flexible, to give you expansion. Harry Potter, if you never really read it, please do read it. Another book, I don't have it yet in my collection here, but another book I really really liked was Da Vinci Code. There are two or three books in the same series. I love all of them. Again, this is one fantastic thing here I find as a yoga teacher is in Da Vinci Code, how it basically, um, something which is just completely made up by the imagination of a writer, and connecting it with the real existing things. um, Somewhere inside you, that imagination is so powerful, you think it really happened. Excuse me, I'm talking so my throat also gets a bit dry sometimes. So Da Vinci Code is that way. It's very very interesting. But the same thing they did in Harry Potter, they use some specific uh, locations. They used those names, those places where people could relate to, go to, although there is nothing really much to be seen there. In Da Vinci Code, yes, in Da Vinci Code, they did a lot of research there to finding about the places and locations. And but for me, it's very interesting how human mind is really picks up those aspects, and then you know, uh, and then there's a whole world of imagination gets created in there, which has no reality as such out there. So please feel free to write any particular book you are impressed with and you would like to mention here. I'll be more than happy to hear about that too. Then let me, before I go to the yoga books, one very very good book I really like, the Daniel Kahneman. This is a book, Thinking Fast and Slow. This is written completely from business point of view, from point of view of how we make decisions and stuff. But it's amazing book. I really like it, and this is something I've been kind of partially been teaching. The Just to give you its brief on this one is that how we get fooled by our um, thing. Um, did I show it wrong way? What does that means? Um, Here is the cover if you want to see it. Let me show it on the YouTube too. Oh yeah, I see that they're showing it as a mirror. I hope you can see it other way, or maybe I will at one point mention it in the comments, the different books I'm talking about. Thank you for mentioning that. I have no idea how do I actually change that here, but I will mention it. But let's get back to this, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. This is the name of the book. This is about how you think it's your intuition. Um, it is sometimes just kind of a laziness of your mind, you can say. This is the mind's way of conserving its energy. This is the mind's way of just jumping to the conclusion. This is the mind's way of just giving you, because it's your inner reflex, it sometimes can be an intuition. And here you need to have a little bit more tune yourself in and be to a little bit more aware whether this is your intuition, or whether this is the your mind jumping on conclusion. um, and it's very very book for that. So how does it work? This book is basically talking about, like, I this is how I used in yoga. So when you do um, yoga postures, any of them, specifically the ones which are more challenging and difficult, in those postures what happens is that um, the moment you perform the postures, if you do have a kind of an uncomfortable anchoring with that, your your system, the moment you would take the name of that posture, will react to that. That basically means if the posture you consider as an uncomfortable posture, before you even go to the posture, your system already saying, oh, is uncomfortable. Sometimes I ask people, okay, hold this posture, and what's happening on this one? um, um, how this posture is feeling. So if somebody says, it's hurting me or it's paining, so if it's hurting, I always ask them, okay, go and check again, is it really really hurting? And when people go back in there, they says, I think no, it's a pressure. And sometimes I ask them, okay, where is it hurting? All over. And that's okay, tell me where the all over is. So they mention me mostly one place or two, and then suddenly they realize how they really made it much bigger deal. And then it is. So this book is about that how the marketing and the sales companies are basically using that ability of ours to recognizing that we are somewhere lazy. So they give you piece of information which may not be true, but intuitively to you it sounds like it is. And the moment you slow thinking, there are basically, he's talking about thinking one and thinking two, or slow thinking or faster thinking. When you go back and question that slow thinking, is it really the case? So you will find that is not really the case. And then this is where you can discover that this book gives you a lot of insight how the mind works, how the gives you a lot of the food for thought. And then you would also, inshallah, go into that realm where you might discover that intuition is something you need to tune yourself a little bit more before you can say that, okay, my intuition said that. It doesn't mean that your intuitions are not correct or anything, but to know, is it your fast thinking mind or it is your intuition? I think very very good book by Daniel. Then let me go towards the yoga books. One of my latest, most favorite book is Loving What Is by, I call her my Guru Ma. This is a book called Loving What Is by Byron Katie. Um, Katie is incredible. It just, she really summed up lot of queries into just this, and showed us how the reality is way more kind, way more loving, way more understanding than we believe. So this book is really helps you to start questioning how you're thinking about life, what is really going on. And in that very questioning you will discover that sorry um, that this is really amazing book, which will give you quite a bit of an insight how your mind is in detail thinking, and how can you really make your life happy life. Doesn't matter in what kind of condition you are in, it brings you completely right away out from it. Very grateful to have that book. Now there are two books which are, I find, very very mystique and interesting, which you need to read over the time of period, as if you, especially if you're doing yoga. These two books are the books which basically has a lot of intricacies, and as you progress and develop in yoga, you would see that you will start developing a different understanding. Now, in yoga, one of the very basic thing is, don't believe anything anybody says. That basically mean to say that keep in the mind of a scientist, where you keep your mind open. If somebody says that water boils at 100 degrees, you should put it on the fire and let the thermometer go in there and then say yes. Then you can say there is an effect which matches. But there are certain books which, at the moment, like this is I'm talking about Autobiography of Yogi. Very interesting, very amazing book. A lot of interesting insights about how the yoga long time ago in India was like, when Paramahansa Yogananda was still in India, and he was going through his experiences with the teacher and all the other things. There are a lot of magic kind of things he's mentioning in there and all that, but at the same time gives you quite a bit of an, you would see there are not that many yogis who really written an autobiography, um, because what this experience is not what you are, and you are way beyond this. And this basically gives you an idea that yogis are not so much this focused. They really want to take us beyond the material and physical self as we understand ourselves. Autobiography of Yogi is one of the book which is highly recommended. Don't just read once. This is one of those things which you read a couple of times to really get more and more clarity. And a lot of people give you a lot of insights on it as you continue. Um, um, Now, the other book which I really dearly, dearly like very much is, I've read not very long ago again. This is Living with Himalayan Masters. Uh, Swami Rama is very interesting character. He studied medicine. He founder of the Himalayan Institute, and at the same time he was hanging out with the yogis from Himalayas, and where he had an amazing, amazing experiences, and he's sharing all his experiences in there. And um, he also, as a young man, the how he's been rebellion, and how the master basically handled that rebellious nature of Swami Rama. And then he contributed, I think, one of the most amazing scriptures, bringing them back to the modern life, giving them the giving us the understanding how it needs to be understood now, because the relevance over the time has been changed. So, very, very interesting book. Go and find in your collection if you don't have it. Maybe you want to go around and get those books and increase your knowledge and understanding of yoga. And this is why what I consider is the blessings of the masters, which always with us, even though they may not be in their physical form around here, but they still shining through. And I hope you feel blessed by reading this one as well. Then I'm going to um, talk to you about two more books. Um, let me take you towards a book by Deepak Chopra. Dr. Chopra has written many, many books, but I always used to make fun with him that I find this Seven Spiritual Laws of Success is in a book which, for me, became one of those things which made everything come in place. Seven Spiritual Laws of Success is one of the book which is very, very small, and it has seven laws. After each law, it gives you what is how you can practically apply on your life, and it has a very profound impact. And ever since I've been having this book, it became one of my most favorite books. Um, and I also created a program based on that book. It changed my yoga practice completely, how I saw, how I move, what I do, my sense of connection to the universe, my sense connection to everybody else has profoundly changed. And this book has a very interesting story that, if I remember it right, I think there was a publisher who really, really was insisting that she wanted to have this book, one book written by Dr. Chopra in her publication house. And he didn't had much time, so they established a one phone line and the answering machine, and the whole book was, whenever Dr. Chopra got a time, he read it out, or he spoke on that, and then transcribed and created this book. I think it's one of the most sold books around the world. Now it used to be. I don't know if now status might have changed after. In non-fiction books, it might be one of those. So here is the cover. If you can see, I'm sorry if you're still having the mirror image there, but a book which had a profound impact on me. Highly recommend. Very small book. You can literally read it in half a day. Uh, you can also read just one law, see how it applies on your life, and then you can see the profound impact on your life. Now, this is the book which basically you can see very, very thin, very, very small book. This is by Ramana Maharishi. This is a book, when you're ready, this can actually create a revolution in you. This is most probably smallest book which I ever read and feel the impact on my core. And this is freely available as a PDF also online if you ever want to, and in all kinds of languages. This book is called Who Am I? And it's a I think Ramana Maharshi was not very he didn't used to speak very much. He spoke very, very little. This was an interview done by one of his disciples together in his native language, and then later on translated. And I think it's one of those well distributed books around the world, and gives you quite a bit of an insight, how my mind gets trapped into thinking this material bit is me. And then, as I said, it creates complete revolution. This is something, again, one of those books you read on a regular basis, not something you read once and leave it. This is not what I often call it as a data collection book. It's not something you take a piece of information, now I know this is something that, I read it, I pay attention, and then when I'm meditating, when I'm reflecting on life, when I'm going through challenges of my life, I think about it, I reflect on it. When I do that again and again, each time the nuances comes in, and which really enriches my life altogether. So these are the few books I have seen. A couple of you also mentioned certain books um, in your comments below. At the moment, there's so many comments coming through, so I can't really read all of them. But if you have any of your favorite book which has an impact on you, or fun books for that matter, like we were talking about Harry Potter and Da Vinci Code and stuff like that. So if there is any book which you think which help people to go through these quarantine times, and encourage, I really, really encourage that. Create a space in your mind, create a space in your heart, and create opportunity, and make a fertile ground your mind as to grow in spiritual, in imagination, and the other way. Um, I would like to now show you what else I've been up to. How is that I'm spending my day? So I'm going to show you a bit messy part. Sorry, I can't do it on both cameras at the same time, but here it is. I have been wasting a lot of colors and paints. So this is my mess here. And today I just created this painting, which I'm not super happy at the moment about. This is something I'm still working on, and this is one of the paintings I've completed already. So the idea basically is that we need to uh, we need to see that what are the ways I can creatively express myself other than the routine. Uh, so when I had no idea about painting, how to do the paintings, how we go about it, and all that. Um, I basically found a couple of very, very important informations on YouTube, and there are teachers who are teaching you most amazing things on YouTube, where how to use different kinds of colors, watercolor, acrylic, uh, or if you want to use it, other creative things which you basically want to do. So find yourself methods which way you can express yourself you haven't yet discovered. I don't know, maybe you want to take singing lessons, you can still do it online. The piano teacher of my son, he just gave a piano lessons to my son online, which was really great because he's sitting at home and at the same time he's going through those piano lessons. Then I love cooking. I don't really know how to cook, but from last few years I've been going online, listening. So if I need to, because I'm sitting in Germany, so I'm if I need to make palak paneer or something like that, which is an Indian dish with the cheese and spinach. So I go online. I find people who are making different kinds or traditional methods to use those recipes. So I learned quite a bit of about cooking. Most of the things I can find around my house. What I find really amazing, there are no borders. So I lately learned how to make something what you call aloo chana in a way in Karachi people make. So and I'm so glad that how amazing those recipes are. And each time when you taste the food, I always break the routine. And for kids, sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. But I really really enjoy doing that. So for learning, there's a very very good tool, is that you can go online, you can look at the YouTube, you can watch a couple of other learning platforms are there, where there are paid unpaid things basically available for us to learn. For yoga, there are a lot of people who are doing the all kinds of things. Just yesterday, I or no, just this morning, I posted one yoga with your babies video done by Manoj, and you can watch that one. It's amazingly hilarious video. But this is a creative way of seeing how do we, when we are staying inside in quarantine, what is that we can do to maintain our life quality, how to maintain our balance. Now these are all about activities. What we talked about books, we have talked about paintings, we talked about cooking, we're talking about yoga. These are all about activities. Remember, inactivity is equally important. Inactivity is the mother of invention and creation. Inactivity is very very important. So constantly introduce yourself to inactivity too. So when you get every now and then time, just take a break, take a pause, breathe, just relax. And especially if you're getting too nervous, but sometimes nervous energy can be taken care when you're walking or you are doing activities, and sometimes you calm down when you're not doing activities. So not only having books related to philosophy, not only having paintings and cookings and runnings and the other things, also having pause in between. Because when you're at home, you would not know. There is nobody telling you now is 6 o'clock that you have to go home. At home, you might end up doing more than you do it in the office, because we don't have those boundaries. So please maintain your routine. Please maintain your timeline and boundaries. Also do other things which you never done before. Read the books you haven't read yet. Found a genre which you haven't really discovered. You would see this will help you, to your mind and to your brain, to stay flexible and open. So that's all I would say for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Feel free in the comment section, please put down your favorite books in there, or your new activities you never done before you started doing now, or you planning to learn something new. If you know a platform to learn things, also mention it there, because I can see that a lot of people are interested, and it might be really great to see all of you soon. And hope this coronavirus passes, and we can meet up and still again feel the touch of each other. Also, we can hug each other. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Take care.